Ha! I caught myself before I kept going. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Daily Space. I am your host, Annie Wilson. And no, I am not Dr. Pamela Gay. She is at a convention. That's where she's at. She's at a convention in Boston and is manning a table today. So, yeah, hi. I'm the backup clone. I'm not quite a good clone. Um, so we have space news today, and I was about to tell you that if you heard a baby crying, it's not a baby, it's a cat, but the cat decided that I was talking and walked away. Anyways, let me find all my windows here. Meow. He is apparently going to cry. Let me find all my windows here. You can ask whatever questions you want to ask. I may not answer whatever questions you ask. If you ask questions, please at me so I can make it so it's easier for me to see. I will not have chat up while I'm doing the news, nor will I read chat except for between stories. So, here we go. Shall we? Let's do this. Okay. So, for those of you that are new, I usually cover launches and things because reasons. I like launches. Anyways, so China, and this is China Space Agency's logo on the screen, had a launch this morning. The Jilin Hyperspectral. This is, they are part of a whole constellation of Earth observation satellites. Previous satellites in this constellation have been for commercial purposes. And there we go. Sorry, I finally get things to work, and I sometimes forget how they work. So this pair of satellites does hyperspectral imaging, which obtains the spectrum for each pixel in an image. Just pause, think about that. Each pixel in the image. It obtains the entire spectrum. It then takes all of those images and composes them into a cube like what you see here on the screen. Things tend to have unique spectra, so it's easy to identify what you're looking at. So why hyperspectral? As I just said, things tend to have a unique spectrum, words are hard. So it's easy to identify what you're looking at, which makes this great for things like remote sensing, monitoring environmental and agricultural conditions, or finding a spot you want to mine. So if you want to observe it and you really want to know what you're looking at, use hyperspectral. So I'm going to pause here, look at chat for questions before I move on to my next thing. I see critical assessment of Planet 9. I don't have control over the Twitter account, so yeah. Okay. So, since I see no questions about hyperspectra and China's launch, which was successful, we're gonna move on. So, oh yeah, that's right, Susie runs the Twitter account. Anyway, so, next story. There was supposed to be a launch this morning, also, of Blue Origin's November Sierra 10 suborbital launch. But it got scrapped yesterday. Scrubbed. Pushed back. It got pushed back yesterday because of high winds. There weren't really specific about what kind of high winds. And the Twitter thread on this is adorable because it tags things like solar winds. So they're supposed to launch tomorrow, but no launch time has been officially announced. I do know that the area around the launch pad is to be clear of air traffic from 1330 UTC to 2000 hours UTC. And for us mere mortals, that's 8 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. So, pause here. Please note that this image has been digitally manipulated in a good way. It's a composite of short and long exposures. It's a beautiful image, but just the photographer in me wants you all to know that it did not come out of the camera like this. Okay, now observe this beautiful picture of New Shepard on the on the launch pad. So what exactly are they supposed to be launching? Nothing's being put in orbit. There's no cargo, to or from the ISS. Why bother? What good is a suborbital launch? Science! That's what it's good for. NASA's Flight Opportunities programs provide researchers access to microgravity for technology development. These include measuring fuel levels by using sound waves, isolating payloads from normally experienced vibrations during spaceflight, cooling tightly packed electronics, and studying how a more environmentally friendly rocket propellant behaves in microgravity. That's cool, because cooling things cooling electronics, tightly packed electronics especially, is tricky. And microgravity does affect that, and they're testing something called flow boiling for cooling, which I don't really understand other than both vapor and liquid have to travel in the same tubes. I don't know. It sounds complicated, and microgravity is definitely going to affect how that happens, because here on Earth, when we have liquid and vapor in the same tubes, gravity is going to kind of force the liquid to sit on the bottom of the tube, and the vapor is going to be on top. So I'm going to pause and look at chat for questions. So Susie asks, where is it launching from? Texas. It's launching from Texas. And Larry Weird and Proud asked, does New Shepard have to look so, let's say, manly? I think all rockets are kind of... I mean, that capsule doesn't do it any favors. String Theory asks, I'm interested in the fuel. Details or wait a little? Other than it's supposed to be a more environmentally friendly fuel, I don't know any details. I neglected to click through on the link. So there's that. But right now they want to just see how that fuel behaves in microgravity, which I'm assuming if it doesn't behave well, what's the point of using it? Veronica Cure asked, does heat not rise in space? I know in the ISS, heat does not rise away from the laptops. It has to be forcefully propelled away from the laptops. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think heat really moves away in microgravity. I think there's some issues there. I might be wrong on this. I am not an astrophysicist. I am not an astronomer. I'm not even a physicist. So I might be wrong on this, but I know on the ISS, heat doesn't rise away from the laptops. It has to be forcefully removed. So I'm assuming there's some related problem with that here. All right, moving on to the next story. ISRO! For those of you that are new, ISRO is kind of a favorite of mine. They are in the middle of 10 missions in 100 days. So far, 4 of these missions have been completed. The next and 5th mission is the Microsat R, which India is launching itself. That's kind of a big deal. 3 other launches are scheduled for February. 1 is being serviced by Arianespace, and 2 others are being launched by ISRO for a total of 8. So yeah, 8 is less than 10. What happened to the other 2? The other 2 were, Chandrayaan 2, which I'm probably slaughtering that, and I apologize, but that's their lunar orbiter, lander, and rover. And the other one was GSAT 30, which was going to be launched by Arianespace. Both of those were delayed. I don't know the reason for the Arianespace delay. I couldn't really find one. But for the lunar mission, I do know the reason. It was delayed because liftoff mass has increased by 600 kilograms. 600 kilograms. That was above and beyond what the rocket that they had currently planned and scheduled could handle. So they have to go to the next largest rocket that they have. And that understandably means that they need to do some reconfiguration, they need to get the rocket ready, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, that got pushed back for a while. And for the new launch, it is going to be with the Gulf Sierra Lima Victor Mark III, I'm assuming version 2. That'll be the third launch of that particular rocket model. So, good luck to India! So, this is a picture of the upcoming launch, them putting things together and getting ready. This launch will have the microsat R, which I previously mentioned, as well as a student satellite. The student satellite is called CosmoQuest, which there was also another student satellite that was put up a few years ago called CosmoQuest. CosmoQuest, the original, was the teeny tiniest satellite put up in space that was launched by NASA. This one is a little larger. I couldn't find dimensions, but please know that these are two different student satellites that just happen to share the same name. The reason why there's a student satellite is India is running a young scientist program to give Class 8 students access to ISRO R&D and scientists. So, and I'm reading my notes, which are a mess. I apologize. Microsat R is an imaging satellite. And I couldn't really find too many details on what exactly the student satellite is going to be doing. I just know it's a student satellite, which is still pretty freaking cool because these are early high school students. I believe that's what Class 8, translates to in the US system. But yeah, these are not even university students. These are, secondary education students, which I think is pretty freaking cool. Go India, keep doing your thing. Okay, so I'm going to pause, I'm going to look, see if there's any questions about ISRO, and etc., etc. Veronica Cure makes the comment of lose some weight or get bigger pants. Glad to know that's universal. Oh, it is. The PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, is another one of India's rockets. It is different from the Gulf Sierra Lima Victor rocket. They have 3 different rockets. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, the one that's being used, which will be the third version of that, and a smaller version of the one being used for this upcoming launch. It's kind of confusing. But yeah, they have 3 different launch rocket capability things. Words are hard. DPI found some information on the fuel. DPI says they want to get rid of hydrazine-based fuel and instead use a hydroxyl aluminum nitrate-based fuel. Cool. That ammonium and nitrate makes sense. I am ashamed of my chemistry prowess, and I can't remember what hydroxyl is, but that's okay. Alright, moving on to the next story. Hydrazine is toxic. Yeah, I kind of figured that bit. Kevlar makes the comment on how they love acronyms. Oh, I know, right? Alright, on to the next story. So, you may have never seen this logo before. That's because it's for Iran's space program. Yes, Iran has a space program. Yes, they launch rockets. No, they do not have anything in similarity with intercontinental ballistic missiles. Yes, ICBMs. Iran's rockets do not equal ICBMs. That concludes today's public service announcement. So, this was the first time that one of their rockets carried a payload, and the third launch overall. These launches tend to be separated out by years. We don't usually get a whole lot of information on them because it's Iran. Hello, Kat. I heard you. Because it's Iran. And when I was Googling this, I saw that there was some political kerfuffle over it. Anyways, Iran can launch rockets, and that's pretty dang cool. So, the launch itself was a success. Nothing went boom, which is good. That's good. They can get things off of the ground. However, the satellite, or the third stage, failed to separate. So, yeah, that's kind of a bummer. And we actually do have a video of this, which I'm going to play in a second. Make sure, I don't know, if there's no audio, I apologize. There's probably music to it. This is just pictures of the rocket. This is a picture of the satellite that was supposed to go up.
پیام امیرکبیر بر روی بالهای پرتوان و بی‌نظیر سیمرغ به پرواز درآمد تا یوسف سلامی خبرگزاری صدا و سیما.
So yeah, unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for them, which makes me a little sad. I'm still really, excited that they were able to do something, that they were able to get a launch off, but yeah, I'm a little bummed that their satellite didn't separate. So now I'm going back. Now I have chat back up and I can read comments. So, go ahead and ask your questions. DPI says, I'm curious why they would slap a satellite on a rocket where the previous two launches have failed. They did have one successful launch. Their test flight with no payload was successful. The second launch, the second stage, did not separate, and that was considered a partial failure. It was probably pressure from the government. They probably don't have access to space. I haven't researched this enough to know whether or not that's the case. They may not have access to space at all because of all the sanctions. And for those of you that don't know, Iran is under a lot of sanctions. A lot. And yeah, that kind of puts pressure on a lot of different areas. Their space program has been called super ambitious. They've not reached hardly any of the goals that they had set for themselves back in 2010. They wanted to have a manned space mission like this year. I don't see that happening. It probably was pressure from the government. It probably was a whole bunch of stuff. And they probably did collect some data from that launch. And there was a lot of political kerfuffle for when they were setting everything up. And that, also makes it more difficult to launch more things. Also, I'm being told I'm doing daily space tomorrow as well, which, oh noes. I have no idea what I'll be doing for that. But anyways, I ran a touchy political thing, and I thought it was cool that they were putting a rocket up. So, yeah, they tried a thing. They were partially successful, or had a partial failure, depending on how you look at it. And I wish them luck, because everybody's trying to make sure they have their own access to space, and I think having access to space is important. And unfortunately, when you're isolated, it can be even more difficult to get that access. And it is not easy putting anything up in the air. This is an incredibly difficult task. And failures happen. On the flip side of this, yes, they lost a satellite, but they didn't lose any human life. So there's that trade-off, I guess. Anyway, I keep hearing the cat, and I keep hoping to catch the cat to show you guys the cat, because you guys have seen Doggy Cam. But, I'd like to at least show you the cat once. So, as Dave Killen says, 1,000 things must go right for a successful launch. That is correct. I'd rather see satellites get blown up and launches get scrubbed than people die. Loss of life is terrible. Whew. Anyways, so please, something with happier things. Oh, hi, are you gonna come here? Oh, you are? I'm gonna pick you up now. All right, look, it's a cat. Hi. So this is my happier thing right now. This is my cat. Hi, buddy. Yeah. He normally is not out and about with the dogs. But he is today for whatever reason. Patine asked, does the cat know quantum physics? I don't know. Do you know quantum physics? Are you just not telling me? The cat has her trained well. Yes, he does. He is actually complaining. He's actually complaining about food, and there's not much I can do about it. This might be the cat premiere on CosmoQuest. I think it is, because Pamela doesn't have any cats. Space cat! Space cat! And another bonus. Can I do it? Can I do it? Ugh, come here. Come here. In order to keep somebody quiet, have some critters. Tinker's like, why did you wake me? Okay. Tinker's like, why did you wake me? I was comfy. I would make a good movie, Cats in Space. Yeah, all the critters. I have 2 out of the 3 critters in my lap. Cat is going to attack your earphone cords? Probably not. He's old. He just wants to be pet. Oh, okay. There goes the cat. Are you okay? I think the cat's okay. Let's see. Can I pull up Doggy Cam? Because we totally have bits. It might help if I had the right thing. Where is Doggy Cam? I don't have Doggy Cam on set up on this, so we'll just do this. Hey, Tinker. Tinker. No. Alright. So here's the fistful of Cheerios, just for proof. And go! I've made it rain Cheerios for the dogs. They are happy. Of course, only one of the dogs is partaking. Let me find chat again so I can read it. Yay! Cat knows physics if its name is Schrodinger. No, unfortunately, the cat's name is not Schrodinger. And if its name is only Schroeder, it probably plays the piano instead. Ay, ay, ay. So, yeah, cats with lasers, bits for the critters, alright! And yes, rewinding, Larry Weird and Proud says Sputnik 2 made the State Department nervous. It was the size of a small nuke, proved that USSR can get nuke anywhere on Earth. Yeah. That's why space makes things nervous. And that's why I started that segment with this is not an ICBM, nor does it share the technology. Okay, so anybody have any other questions? Comments? Smart remarks? Other than I am apparently also doing this tomorrow. While I wait for your questions, some housekeeping things. Universal Sandbox Universe Sandbox 2 codes have been sent out. Steam codes have been sent out. If you're waiting on things being sent from Nancy or Susie, those have been sent out. If you're waiting for Ward Beecher Planetarium mugs, I go to campus with luck tomorrow or Wednesday. Later this week. I'm going to campus later this week. I have to go to campus later this week. So those will be sent out from there. If you're waiting for other physical prizes, they are probably being sent from Dr. Pamela's house. And the last I heard, things were boxed up and shipped and ready to go. Alright, chat wants to know what the cat's name is. The cat's name is Tuffy. He came with this name. I was told he was previously a feral kitten and his cheeks were all puffed out. And he looked like a tough guy. And he's just kept that name and he's a total sweetheart. Yes, that is the correct spelling, DPI, Tuffy. Which rhymes with Fluffy, which is the nickname for Puck. I had Puck first. Guess which gets confusing. Other housekeeping notes. I'm apparently doing DS tomorrow. Also, if you ever miss a show or just want to catch up on old shows, we do our absolute best to archive everything on YouTube. Unfortunately, the Hangout-a-thon was a casualty of large file sizes and etc., and was not archived on YouTube. So if you missed it, you missed it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of other housekeeping notes, since apparently y'all don't have any questions for me today. There was a lunar eclipse last night. You should be able to find pictures of that on the internet. Join our Discord if you want updates on when we go live. Thank you, Paranor. Patreon. You might have missed the Hangout-a-thon, but you can still donate and help. So we had a Hangout-a-thon, because I know a lot of you are new. We had a Hangout-a-thon because our NASA funding got cut. Like, all of it got cut. It disappeared. We knew this may happen. We were hoping it wouldn't happen, but it still happened. As a result, most of us now have like 3.5 months of like part-time funding. And the cat is still behind me and slightly distracting. Yeah, as a result, the NASA funding paid for myself, Susie, Nancy, Tanner, Jay, Dr. Andreas, Dr. Matthew, Dr. Pamela, Anya, Taylor. I am losing names. Hi! Hi, Raven, Lillian. I am Annie Wilson! I am standing in for Dr. Pamela Gay, who is at a convention manning a table, and apparently I'm hosting tomorrow, too, so that'll be fun! Yeah! Anyway, so yeah, we lost our NASA funding, which paid for a lot of our incomes. And yeah, that's been fun. Our hangout-a-thon raised about 3.5 months of salary for a lot of people. And, yeah. Yeah, it's 3.5 months. And to give you an idea of my chunk of funding for 3.5 months, there's funding for me to work 4 hours a week. Just think about that. There's funding for me to work 4 hours a week for 3.5 months. Yeah. I'm lucky I have another source of income, and I'm lucky I have a partner. We were in the process of reapplying for grants. We can't reapply for grants until the government reopens, so that's how the shutdown affects us. So yeah, we're right now operating pretty much solely off of your donations, and I am extremely grateful for all the bits, the donations, the subs, all of that. If you can't afford to donate, that's okay. Follows are free. Tweeting that we're, broadcasting is free. Rating our channel is free. I mean, any little thing you can do to help get the word out that, hey, we're doing science that you can consume for free on Twitch, it helps us in the end. So, yeah. I like our intro. Donate now, feed the wiggle butts. Yeah. The Poke Boy, because I just shorten usernames. Pokenoy says, I had a question. Let me scroll up. It said the stars are millions of light years away from us, so is it true that the night sky we see, the stars are... The stars we see right now were actually like this millions of years ago, like when the dinosaurs were here, or even before Earth was created and was still part of the sun. That's my understanding of it, yes. And that's okay. Larry Weird and Proud asks, are there NGOs for astronomy, education, outreach? I don't know. I'm not sure if astronomy or Astronomers Without Borders counts. I know that there's a lot of local outreach and education things going. Usually it's to fund and provide their own outreach and education. I don't think there's like a big overwhelming thing. Yeah, see, Susie knows way more about this than I do. Way more about this. A lot of the funding stuff is way above my pay grade, and I don't understand how it works, and I'm grateful that we do have people understand that it works. Uwingu is crowdfunding for research. That is good to know, and I am certain that they'll look into that. Silvershot, we're all frustrated. You don't need to leave. You don't need to leave. We're all frustrated with it. This is very frustrating, and it's kind of scary. We understand the frustration. So, but the plus side, because of my situation, I don't have to worry about paying rent. I don't have to worry about my health care. I don't have to worry about a lot of things, but it is still very frustrating because this loss of income means that I can't do fun things like build a computer for my nephew, or I think I'll be doing a whole lot more cooking and less going out. It impacts my quality of life. It does limit me in a lot of ways, but I'm already been used to saying, or I've already been used to living that way. For example, I don't own a car. I have an electric scooter. Or not an electric scooter, excuse me. I have a gasoline scooter, like a mini motorcycle that I use in the summer months. My favorite human has a car. We use that. There's public transit. I use that. I use my parents to help get me around. So I'm already used to living like this. It's not fun. But having the additional funding means I get to do things like buy more equipment for the stream. It means I can pay for software. It means I can fix up my house. Etc, etc, etc. The Poke Boy says, another thing, they say the stars that are twinkling, are like twinkling, you know, like flashing and aren't constantly on, are satellites and not stars. Paranor answered it, saying non-twinkling indicates a planet or other body, yes, but not always. Our intro adds, twinkling is a byproduct of the atmosphere we see stars through. Twinkling is a result of atmosphere distorting the light. And String Theory says if it sort of moves quick, it's totally a satellite. There we go! Woo! Planets are actually small disks, so not nearly as subject to the same effect. Also, because our Instro is here, feel free to ask satellite questions, because that is totally in his wheelhouse. Yeah, and speaking of funding, we can do a lot with a little, and I feel like we've proved that. Your money is not wasted. Pamela is essentially funding herself with her art and other things. Any money that's donated through bits or Streamlabs donations or Redbubble or subs or any Patreon or any number of things, all of that goes to fund the team, which includes myself, Susie, Nancy, and a whole long list of people of whom I won't completely remember all of their names. Yeah, we totally have space merch, and totally check out the Mercury t-shirt, because that's totally my favorite. Yeah. Money spent on science is never wasted. It really isn't. That if you were here early enough to see that Please Wait video, I made that. And I made that with funding from you guys. I have another cute, longer video that I'm working on that I essentially can't work on until there's more funding, because 4 hours a week can easily get spent up with streaming, because I'm spending at least 1 hour, possibly 2, doing my own stream on Sundays. So yeah, 4 hours is not a lot of time. I'd like to work on that, etc, etc, etc. And now there's just a whole bunch of other chat. Yeah, Pamela has a very supportive favorite human. He sells wooden pens and stuff from the lathe on Etsy. You are not bothering me at all with your questions. These are very good questions, and yes, they may get asked a lot, but that's okay. I'd rather you ask. Hey, thanks for the follow, Pokeboy. No, it's okay to ask these questions, because even though I may not have a strong astronomy background, and I know enough astronomy to be dangerous, the combined knowledge of myself and chat and Google and everybody else, your questions actually help me learn better. And the better I learn, the better I can explain it, which is awesome, because I like being able to explaining astronomy things to my nephew. So, yeah! Alright, because I don't have a doggy cam, I feel like I really need a doggy cam. Here's the handful of Cheerios. Are we ready to make it rain? Puck, are you ready for me to make it rain? Speak. Come on, speak. Come on, they can't see you. They have to hear you. There you go. Ready? Ready? Speak. All right. Yeah, so we're all here to learn. Raven asks, where else do I stream? I do all of my streaming here on this channel. This channel is not just me. It is also Dr. Pamela. I do my Sunday office hours here. Pamela does her office hours here. We do daily space every day. I have to think about this, and that's why I'm looking off in the distance. So yeah, this channel is really a team of people, and sometimes there's more of us and sometimes there's less. If you're interested in watching Dr. Pamela paint planets and stuff, her Twitch is Starstrider. Veronica Cure says, love the music on the video, reminds me of I Dream of Jeannie. That is actually the feeling that Dr. Pamela wanted. I literally I picked the music first and worked from there, which is why there's a lot of features that are essentially based on the music. Like, things happen when this happens in the music. I'm gonna scroll up because I was here. And I'm scrolling back down. Yes, Dr. Pamela's favorite human has a case of guitar acquisition syndrome. There are so many guitars. It's kind of impressive how many guitars are in their house. Learning Space is indeed on hiatus right now. I don't have any information on that, other than that's probably something that'll come back when we have more funding. We are running really lean right now. We do launches. Launches aren't always the best announced because launches tend to be last minute. I cover launches that happen at reasonable times of day for me in the Eastern time zone. So, for example, if there's a launch at 6 a.m., I'm not getting up to cover that. If there's a launch at midnight, you bet I'll be covering that. Arnstrom makes a comment about the orbital dynamics in the vid are spot on. Well done. I may or may not have been scolded about previous orbital dynamics in that video. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us, Pokeboy. Pokeboy, you definitely should join our Discord. We don't really do a whole lot of chatting there, but that's also another good place. I'm glad you think we're awesome. Dave Killen says the only stupid question is the one not asked. And even if you feel like a question is stupid, it's okay to phrase it with, this might be a stupid question, but... Because sometimes it feels like a stupid question. I literally asked somebody the other day if they had ever used a microwave before because I wanted to be sure that they knew how to use a microwave. Might be a stupid question, never hurts to ask. We do play a lot of Uno. If you want in on that, you will need Steam and Tabletop Simulator. We usually post when we're going to play Uno in Games and Gamers channel on our Discord. Before launches, I tend to play some sort of astronomy themed game or space themed game. Sorry, there are like beeps and stuff outside, and I'm distracted by that. I try to play some sort of space themed game. This can be anything from... I can't think of what I played the other night. Starbound. It might be Starbound. It might be the card game Launch, which I think is really cool. It might be Astroneer. I have a whole bunch of other astronomy-themed games in my Steam library that, you know, it's pretty much one of those, what do I feel like playing? And I am totally open to having people play these games with me. I stream. I start my launch stream before the coverage stream starts. So if the launch happens at 10 p.m., I might start streaming at 9 p.m. And that's mostly to make sure that my equipment is all working. That gives me time to play a game. It gives me time to chat with you guys. It gives you guys time to, like, you know, discover the stream and things of that nature. There was something about the cat recovering. Oh my, it wasn't my cat and I'm afraid to ask. So yeah, Yeah, tune in for the launches. I try to do some research on what we're watching, and every time I've thought, hey, you guys don't want to know or don't need to know that info, I've been proved wrong. So yeah, keep me on my toes. Art Instro needs to be around for more of those launches because I feel like his commentary would be awesome. And one day we are going to figure out how to do this, even though he is in a totally different state than me. Yeah, we totally got to see a Chinese launch, which is super, super rare. I'm gonna put this out there. If you know of a stream, a live stream for a Chinese launch, find me, ping me on Twitch, ping me on Discord, ping me on Slack if you're in the weekly space hangout, ping me on Twitter, send me a message on Facebook if you can find me on Facebook. Seriously, if you know of a live Chinese launch stream, find me, tell me about it, I will make it happen. Even if I have to drop everything I'm in the middle of, because live Chinese launches are super, super rare, and I am interested in streaming as many of them as I can. Right now, it's kind of a collection. What Chinese launches can we stream now? It was a good night launch. It was. Part of me was like, oh no, we don't have any commentary, da 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 da. And the other part of me was like, dude, it's a live Chinese launch. This never happens. So if it's in Chinese, it's fine. Yes, string theory. If it's in Chinese, that's absolutely fine. That's what we did. Somebody found the stream on China's equivalent of Twitch, and I restreamed their stream. Refsmat says, can we please have a live stream of a Chinese rocket launch of the part where the spent booster falls back and crashes on the edge of the town? China's not going to show that. Come on. You know better. You know better. China's just not going to show that at all. Yeah, that's terrifying. I think they are working on launching things from the ocean. And I know their Long March 11 is an entirely solid rocket. Yeah, solid fuel rocket that's actually been designed to be in storage for a long time and then launch reliably on short notice. So that's neat. And China does have multiple launch sites. Multiple. Because my Chinese, mainly Mandarin pronunciation is crap. Just like my Greek pronunciation, we're not going to talk about that. I don't even try to pronounce the things. So, yeah. Mind the rocket, says Veronica. It really is totally mind the rocket. Oof. Yeah. Oh, you're being so... Paranor's giving me crap about my pronunciation. I mean, yeah, Long March 11 totally is possibly based off of an ICBM. It just goes up into space instead of sideways. So yeah, bye Kevlar. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody have any more questions? Comments? I mean, launch stuff is cool, but at some point I'm going to run out of things to ramble on about, guys. Also, this is supposed to be like a 15-minute stream, and it's never a 15-minute stream with me, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Pokeboy, another thing. Do you believe in the multiverse theory? I mean, if it's true, then it's kind of like the solution to the grandfather paradox. You know, if you went back in time, killed your grandpa, then you wouldn't have been born, so that means you were never born, which means he wasn't killed. So that means you were born, which means that you were born and you killed the grandpa, and on and on and on and on and on. I hope I was able to explain perfectly any ways to break this paradox. The multiverse theory can be applied. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't know. That is kind of mind mind-boggling. Trillion H2O says the first Americans went into space on barely modified ICBMs as well. See, this is why ICBMs aren't totally bad. I would rather see them launch straight up rather than at sideways. I mean, little gnomes seldom considered point. Yeah, yeah. I can barely wrap my mind around, like, the size of our one universe, or more than 3 dimensions, even though more than 3 dimensions totally exist in math. So I'm gonna leave the multiverse stuff, like, to sci-fi and the experts. They're only bad when they go boom, intentionally or not. Yeah, ICBMs are bad when they go boom. And yeah. I don't want to see things go boom. I want to see things go into space, man. ICBMs tend to launch more straight up than those putting things in orbit. Yeah, you're right. I need to play more Kerbal. I mean, yeah, because you have to go up and then over and... yeah. Yeah, Pokeboy, as Susie says, maybe ask Dr. Pamela after an astronomy cast on Fridays. She thinks all about the sci-fi theories. Yes. Ask the astronomer about multiverse. Don't ask the computer scientist, artist, / whatever I am. I don't even know what I am anymore. Dr. Paul could totally answer that. Yeah, they've studied this stuff much more than I have. I literally know enough astronomy to be dangerous, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. I like to think of it as a good thing, because if I can't understand something, then explaining it to the general layperson means that it's just not happening. Yeah, I know Argenstro is saying satellite launches require as much speed as possible to go sideways so that when they fall back to Earth, they miss. And that's essentially how things are in orbit. They are continually falling, but they're falling, like, sideways. Paranor says, you are a comp sci waist deep in SciComm, and we hurt you for it. Yeah. Heart. Yeah, Dr. Pamela tends to collect computer science people, and I'm okay with that. Also, for more background, when I started university, I essentially, shortly after I started university, I essentially started working at the university's planetarium as their computer person. And that's how all of this stuff started happening. So I never thought I'd get into SciComm. I'm totally happy being in SciComm. Yeah, and she collects Canadians, and sometimes she collects comp sci people that want to be Canadians. Just saying. Anyway. Yeah. Pokeboy, yes, we have sci-fi movies to blame, but sci-fi has actually led to actual things happening. Like, somebody had this wild idea at some point, and then people actually made it happen. I can't think of any particular examples at the moment, but I do know the word computer essentially came from sci-fi. So, SciComm! SciComm is science communication. The SciComm that you're thinking about is probably psychology communication, which that's not in my wheelhouse. Yeah, English is weird, isn't it? English is real weird. My dog is licking my hand. You're being adorable, but weird and distracting. Just shh. Just go back under the blanket. I can't spell dyslexia. That's okay. Susie says she was a psychologist before. Yeah, Susie and I briefly talked about my informed consent poster. Space TV Net says, hi Annie, what do you think personally is the most interesting mystery in the universe? DPI, I'm going to get back to you in a second. DPI says, computer was the name of the ladies that used to calculate ballistic curves for the artillery shells, I thought. Yes, it was also used for that, but to take the word, like, computer and apply it to a machine, you know what, maybe I'm wrong on this. I totally had thought that this was all doot. Memory bank 12 terabytes in size. So, is that RAM? Or is that like a hard drive? Because if that's a hard drive, we're already there. Okay, so most interesting mystery of the universe. Why is there a cosmic web? I don't have an image of it. And the first time I saw a cosmic web was on a planetarium dome, which kind of ruins flat screen cosmic web for me. Hold on. Sorry, I'm pelting the dog with Cheerios to try to get him to be quiet. He heard something outside. Yeah, I don't quite understand why there's a cosmic web, and that may be an answer that... Hey, bits for the dogs! That may be, that may have already been answered, but I think the cosmic web is cool. Bits for the dogs! I think the cosmic web is cool, and I find it interesting that there's, like, chunks and threads and things of that nature. Alright. Rosin says, as a former animal trainer, I am tickled that you use Cheerios too. Most underrated dog treat. It totally is the most underrated dog treat. I use Cheerios because I don't want my dogs to be fat, and Cheerios are cheap. Short answer to Cosmic Web, because gravity is a thing, weak as it is among natural forces. See, this is why I need you, R-Instro. Annie and guys, do you think astronomy and astrology have any logical connections between themselves at all, or is it dumb hocus pocus? And what is your take on horoscopes? Mars can turn your day shitty. The rays of Saturn can cause you to break up. Haha. I mean, does horoscopes and sun signs have any logical base? I would love to know your take on this, plus your guys' too. Alright, horoscopes are crap. They mean nothing. They are so vaguely written that they could apply to anybody and anything, plus we have a bias for when things happen correctly, and we remember that stuff more. But just the way that horoscopes are written, they are biased. So astrology and astronomy do have a shared history, because before there was light pollution, people actually kept track of how things moved. And in some cultures, astrology, like the actual using astronomical things to predict what was going to happen in the world, was super important. Like, not everybody could have predict eclipse, and eclipses still freak some people out, like majorly, which is, I think, why there's so much press coverage now is, hey, there's an eclipse happening, this is why it's happening, don't freak out, it's not magic, da 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 da. I believe Chinese astrologers, ancient Chinese astrologers, may have actually been executed, punished, whatever, when the things that they saw in the stars didn't happen in real life, and things that happened in real life weren't predicted by the stars, vice versa. They do have shared history, but essentially, as humans' understanding of science got better, we kind of shed those things. So it's interesting, but only to a point. Oh, yes, awesome. Read another person's horoscope, and they still think it's about them. Yes, Space TV, that's totally a thing. I studied the mechanic of natal chart, but I had a crisis of faith in studying interpretation. Astrology is, in effect, crap. We do love our personal biases, don't we? Yeah, polite diplomatic responses, ladies and gentlemen. Annie's obviously ambivalent about astrology. Oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. Kind of like the shared history of chemistry and alchemy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, science is great because it shows humans where they're wrong, and yes, it's a great thing. Yeah, a lot of the, you know, science that we take as real and stuff and things, it came from kind of these mythological origins where we didn't quite understand everything. Going back to astronomy, archaeoastronomy is pretty cool, and I'm talking things like Stonehenge and stuff the Mayans set up, where there were certain alignments, and even other indigenous peoples. I remember when I was at a planetarium conference, we went out somewhere and they had a bunch of, I hesitate to call it a medicine wheel, but that may have actually been the term. These peoples had set up a bunch of poles, wooden poles in a circle, and during certain events, etc., things were lined up, shadows were in a certain way, etc. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And keeping track of constellations or asterisms, having some help, you know, with the with timekeeping is also pretty cool. So, yeah, like words are hard. Archaeoastronomy is totally super cool, and sky cultures are totally super cool, and we need to record all the sky cultures we can before they totally disappear. But could the light and gravity from planets and distant stars be having some effect on us? Probably not. No. Nope. Not a thing. Not happening. Not at all. Nope. That's not how this works. Lunatic. That's a fun word. Luna, moon, tick. I'm not sure what the suffix tick is for, but yeah. Yeah. You guys are all talking about things I don't understand. Our Instros has a very unpronounceable word. Is an amazing site to investigate if you're into that kind of thing. There were definitely some lunatics out last night on Frasier's Eclipses stream as negatively influenced by the moon. Isn't that weird how we're just going to take words negatively influenced by the moon and just apply them to mental health? We were reminiscing about programming early mini computers. Good for you. Paleo astronomy site in what I'm assuming is Turkey. Okay. Pokeboy. It said, today you will meet with someone you love and you might have financial issues, so make sure you spend wisely. More than a horoscope, it sounded like typical good deeds people should generally do. So silly, man. I'm sure Saturn has more stuff to do than messing up my day. Agreed. Mini computers, one took up a large room. Yeah, right? The size of computers, just the size of computers over time has just blown my mind. Technology is amazing. Yeah, horoscopes are kind of like fortune cookies in that way, aren't they? Huh. Moon's gravity makes my earlobes swing. There were people taking advantage of a large stream. Crazy is relative. Crazy is totally relative. Yeah, I just negatively influenced by the moon and applying it to mental health. Yeah, I guess that is totally accurate for Frasier's stream last night. I didn't catch it. Yeah, I am totally aware of the fact. DPI says, your smartphone now has more computing power than most 70s mainframes. Yeah, yeah, that ink over my grandfather. My grandfather's in his 90s, and he knew at one point, for his time in the military, Morse code. And I was still relatively young, living at my parents' house. I had my laptop connected to the Wi-Fi, and the laptop was off of battery power, and I had headphones, and I was talking to somebody over Skype in a totally different country. And that just blew my grandfather's mind because I wasn't connected to any wires other than headphones to the computer. I mean, there was no wires for the power, there was no wires for the connection, and I had a video, essentially, video chat with somebody that was not even in America. And I also remember talking to a Vietnam vet about all of the hassle of just making like a phone call home when they were in Vietnam compared to, the technology when I was in Kuwait that allowed me to, make Skype calls home. It was, yeah, Arnster says, depending on the country, most of it was probably over wires, but none that were anywhere near you. Yeah, just my grandfather just viewing me being almost completely wireless. Yeah, that just kind of blew his mind. So the fact that, our smartphone contains, more computing power than a 70s mainframe, to me, that's like, duh. But to my grandfather, that's like, whoa, what happened, man? I was a radio man, and when I heard music, my mind translated it into Morse. Nice. I never properly learned Morse code. I know Morse code for SOS, which I guess is important. Given the option, who here would choose to upgrade their eyeballs with tech that can see and do so much more? With a caveat, I would choose to have my eyeballs upgraded with tech that would fix my vision. But I can just go a much more conservative route and get glasses. They, as Arnster says, they are actually pretty amazingly well engineered for how we use them. They really are. The fact that there are some people out there that can see additional... I'm trying to think. I don't want to say colors, but I think colors is accurate because they have more than just the 3 cone types, is pretty cool. Better vision, go find missing people. Yeah. B-Scott says, like, light spectrum. Yeah, there are some people that can actually see more hues than the average person, which I think is kind of cool. You're already throwing away so much information that your eyes can't see and your brain can't process because lack of bandwidth. Why upgrade? This is actually why animation works. Animation really is just, well, drawn animation, like a flip book, is really just a bunch of still pictures, and they move so quickly between each one that our eyes skip the part where there's no movement and just fill it in with actual movement. So yeah, there's that. Eyes are fantastic things, but prone to faults, says someone who's been wearing glasses since being a child. And not so much bandwidth, but selective processing. Yeah. Computer animation is the same way. Yeah, I thought so, Noel, but I know you have way more information on that than I do. You are the professional, whereas I merely dabble. As my eyeballs age, I wouldn't mind upgraded eyes, but I wouldn't be an early adopter. There are some veterans that have glass eyes, and there are people that have lost eyes that would probably totally love a cybernetic eyeball. But for me to pop out a totally healthy eye to put in a cybernetic upgrade. I don't think I'm comfortable with that. B. Scott says, I love that thought experiment. Having extra color added to 3 most humans sees means how many additional colors. Somebody actually did the math on that, and I don't remember what it is. Especially the young. Cyborg eyeballs can translate invisible wavelengths into stuff we can see. Also, zooming in would be nice. And who doesn't want X-ray vision? Can see down to 340 nanometers instead of 370. Wow. That's wild. So you're saying, like, if we took some of the space telescope technology and put it into an eyeball, you could see, like, X-rays. Okay. So I don't think X-ray vision would work the way you think it works, because X-rays work because we slather stuff with radiation, and then that's what the radiation sees. Yeah. All right. Bye, Poke Boy. Glasses that allow colorblind people to see colors is amazing. Hey, Puck, I know you think it's amazing technology too. It's like using X-rays like a camera flash. Alright, there's so much happening in chat. Different sized eyes with different components. Ugh, like, are we talking like giant squid sized eyes, you know, where the eye is like the size of a dinner plate? Oh, it's alright, Poke Boy. I'll probably see you around. Yeah, I believe the brain could totally adapt to more color. We've already seen it happen. There are still arguments based on, you know, have humans over time evolved more cones or not. I don't think that's been definitively settled. And as a side note, there are no green lights in Japan, they're blue. Color perception is actually a trained thing. But red, green, colorblind, if you can't see the difference between red and green... Hey! Eyes on stems so we can move them in many more directions independently. Isn't that what cameras are, though? Come on. Also, I feel like that would be inherently weird. Just eyes on stems. Just... Yeah. Colorblind is trouble with the hardware, not top perception. Okay. If someone spends their life in near darkness, they would have difficulty coming to the light. Also, in that regard, related but not entirely on topic. So a tiny tangent. There have been people that have been blind since birth that had some sort of procedure done that allowed them to see, and like 3D drawn cubes and the Penrose triangle, you know, the one where if you rotate it, like if you're looking at 3D, you rotate it, it's no longer a triangle. Like, those totally screwed with them, and I think getting vision actually decreased their quality of life, because things that, you know, we take for granted as perceiving like 3D drawn objects, I can't think of the words I want to use, but images that can be perceived in multiple ways, those were really difficult for some of those people to adjust to. String theory. There's a group of people in Africa, I think. Been a while since I read seen this, but they can tell the difference between several similar shades of green as easily as most people see the difference between red and blue. Yes, I read that too, and I would be interested in seeing if that's like trained versus hardware. Because part of me, did I get the part right that some lights are blue instead of green because of reason? I think it's cultural perception. Like the lights are actually like a really blue-green, but they do have some blue to them. So somebody from a Western nation will be like, oh, look at the green light. But somebody that's been born and raised in Japan will be like, no, that's blue. Yeah, kind of teal. See, Ardenstern knows all these things. So they are green and blue at the same time. But Bleen, yeah, that's a good one. Hazard 6 is, yeah, Bleen. So they made the lights that they're technically correct in both aspects, which makes me immensely happy. But yeah, for cultural reasons or whatever, they're perceived by Japanese as blue. Remember what? Oh no, not that dress. That freaking dress. I still see that in like museum displays about like color perception and things. That was in the news because people could not agree what color it was. Yeah, the one where it was like blue or gold or black and white, and I still don't know what the actual answer is. Because I've seen pictures where it was both. I don't know. Yeah, I had forgotten about it too, Paranor, until I had seen it at PAX Sci in Seattle. Which, if you're in Seattle, go to PAX Sci, go to Pacific Science Center. They have a VR thing that's kind of hidden away. Also, buy the tickets for the Hyperwall experience. I know this adds up to the price, but go to PAX Sci, get the Hyperwall experience, go to the VR stuff first, and yeah, that is the VR stuff at PAX Sci is amazing, and especially the Hyperwall stuff. Also, if you're thinking about getting a VR headset, but you're not sure which one to get, they have a wide variety of ones that you can try. So you can be like, oh, this is an Oculus headset. Oh, this is an HTC Vive headset. So that's cool. Go see Rat City Roller Girls while you're out there. Yeah, but totally go to PAX Sci, totally go to the VR, do the Hyperwall. Fact checking and price comparison eyeballs would be cool. We have cell phones for that. It's just cumbersome. I mean, wasn't Google Glass Google Glass totally could have been used for that, but Google Glass freaked a lot of people out, understandably, because cameras on your head. Yeah. Pragnavies. Hey! I know, that's your input. You didn't like it that I went to Seattle. You were with my parents for way too long. But Midori, I don't even know where you're going with this language stuff, guys. P. Gravenese, thank you, because I will just kind of slaughter names, and I may slaughter it in the future, but welcome, hello. The news is over, now we're just hanging out and chatting. Will mankind survive the next 1,000 years? Gosh, I hope so. I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that we will, as a whole, survive the next 1,000 years. All the continents have high ground, at least. Yes. Japan is complicated. Everywhere is complicated. Humankind is complicated. Science is complicated. Everything is complicated. And, we're all just humans trying to make sense out of complicated things, and that's okay. I do know that if global warming does cause sea levels to rise, that I am fairly safe where I'm at in Ohio, so there's that. There's that at least. I'm not gonna have to worry about being flooded out. There is Lake Erie and the Ohio River, but I'm not super close to either of those. Oh, hi, yo, yeah! I'm at more than 50 meters, I'm assuming above sea level. Yeah, like I've visited places in the world where they are definitely under threat of being flooded out if sea levels rise. And that's mildly terrifying, and I hope that's not the case, but yeah, everybody's like, oh, flyover country. Nah, I'm cool with being flyover country, because we're not near the ocean. Maybe the ocean will come to us. Wow, that's really a depressing thought. Anyway, the middle! Yeah! The Raven says, seeing as I can walk to the water, I will have to move. Yeah. Yeah, global warming and, like, Arctic areas kind of terrifies me. Ohio means good morning in Japanese. I know. Isn't that a cool Japanese language fact? Because there's a decent Asian population in Seattle, so I was able to go to a big Japanese store, and there was like a teeny tiny little Japanese store in Pike Place Market down below, and they had little cards like Ohio means this in Japanese. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm from Ohio. I'm okay with being from Good Morning. Ohio details, yes, details. It's all details. Please don't get sick there. Okay. Yeah, that's a better move, going back and licking yourself. Alright, so I may actually have to cut this short because I hear my cat hacking a hairball, and you may be able to hear him too. So, yes! I went there, Veronica. It was amazing. It was amazing. Favorite Human was like... Because Favorite Human had walked through Chinatown, or the International District, however you want to call it in Seattle, on foot. Like, he just walked there from downtown. Yes, this is my Favorite Human. And... But yeah, he walked there and he's like, I don't know about going to this Japanese store, because he had seen the bad part of Chinatown. And then we take the light rail there and he's like, this is nice. I think I'll put my watch back on. So yeah, we totally went there twice. I totally got sushi from there, and I think I took pictures, but I didn't post them on Discord or anything, so I'll have to do that. Yes, it was a favorite, and I spent a lot of time there, and I went to the bookstore, and I don't think I have anything handy, but the bookstore totally had origami paper of Ghibli Studio stuff, and that is the most I've ever spent on origami paper, and I am not ashamed. Anyways, yes. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it short. I'm gonna check to see what my elderly cat is hacking up, and, yeah. So, this has been a production of... PSI, Planetary Science Institute, in beautiful, sunny Tucson, Arizona, where they probably did see the lunar eclipse last night. And as well as Youngstown State University in very cloudy, miserable, still snowy Youngstown, Ohio. I have been your host, Annie Wilson. It has been a pleasure chatting with all of you. Tune in tomorrow for more science, and we'll figure out what I'm talking about tomorrow. That should be fun. I'm not panicked, not at all. Yeah, it was nice meeting all of you new people, and now I have to awkwardly search for the credits, because that's what I do. Alright, so I don't remember if there's music or not, so there's gonna be a little bit of random scatting. Hooray! Where's OBS and all of my things? Alright. You have all been amazing. I will see you tomorrow. Ba-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Where's the credits? Rolling credits. Dee-doo, ba-ba-ba. I can't hear music. Woo-hoo-hoo. Dee-doo, ba. Ba-bee. Do-do-do. We have music. music. Yeah, I can't hear the music, otherwise I'd snap to the music. But yeah, thank you all. Bye! I'll see you later.